Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, back on August 16th, we did this video right here, and it was about a big political shift that had taken place in the Third Circuit and how suddenly that was setting New Jersey up to really become ground zero for a lot of Second Amendment litigation. Well, today we're going to actually circle back on a New Jersey case. It's New Jersey's assault weapon ban case. We have talked about it before, but there's some big things brewing, and I think you all ought to be aware because it may be a lot more significant than you're even given thought to. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about how the Third Circuit just set up a showdown on assault weapon bans. Okay, hey, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, let's remind everyone that we did all the research for this video where? That's right, at GroundNews. Why? Well, because I like to be able to weed through all the media manipulation and the headline manipulation, all the bias and all the spin that comes with news, and that's what GroundNews will do for you, because after you search out your story, they will give you a bias distribution breakdown. You can see how the headlines are manipulated, and right now, here's the best part. If you go to ground.news/Washington, or you just scan this QR code right here, you're going to get 40% off of Vantage Plan. And the Vantage Plan is going to give you all the services that GroundNews has to offer, including the blind spot, which is pretty cool because it will tell you about stories that are predominantly being reported by one side of the political spectrum or the other. So listen, if you're finally ready for the mainstream media to start treating you like a big boy or a big girl, then check out my good friends today at ground.news/Washington. Okay, America, we are circling back to a challenge to New Jersey's assault weapon ban case. Now, there are several cases consolidated, so it can go by all sorts of different names. We're going to call it Cheeseman v. Platkin because that's what we called it the first time we talked about it. Now, I want you to understand the procedural history. So this is a challenge to New Jersey's assault weapon ban. At the district court level, the plaintiffs lost. They then appealed to the Third Circuit. The case was assigned to a 3-judge panel. Oral arguments were heard on that case on July 1st. However, before a ruling could even be issued by the 3-judge panel of the Third Circuit, we received an order yesterday from the full en banc panel of the Third Circuit, which reads as follows. The court, sua sponte, orders rehearing en banc in the above captioned cases. The clerk of the court shall list this matter for Wednesday, October 15, 2025, beginning at 9:30 a.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it is signed by the chief judge. Now, why is this a big deal? Because if this happened in the Ninth Circuit or someplace like that, we would be completely crapping our pants. Well, to understand why it's a big deal, we got to go over two concepts today. The first is circuit splits, which many of you probably understand, but we'll refresh you on that. And the second one is a term that I've kind of made up, which is called a jurisdictional bubble. Okay, circuit splits. Circuit splits is where you have one circuit that has ruled one way on an issue, and you have another circuit which has ruled exactly the opposite. And what that puts is Americans living by entirely different rules depending on where they are geographically located in the country. And that is a big problem. And that oftentimes is one of the biggest catalysts and criteria for which the United States Supreme Court will accept review on a case to iron out the differences between the circuits so that we can all theoretically live under the same rules. So, right now, we do not have a circuit split on assault weapon bans. We don't even have a circuit split on magazine bans. Why is that? Well, that comes to the other term, the one that I've coined, called jurisdictional bubbles. You see, whenever I'm having to sit there and read some brief that defends an assault weapon ban or a magazine ban, the proponents of those bans will always and readily point out that there are no circuit splits, that any circuit that has ever ruled on an assault weapon ban or a magazine ban has said, hey, absolutely no problem at all. Why is that? Well, you gotta go to the map. You see, when we ask ourselves, like, why hasn't the Fifth Circuit weighed in on that? Well, you take a look at the states inside the Fifth Circuit and you realize there's no state in the Fifth Circuit that would ever in a million years pass an assault weapon ban or a magazine ban. But hey, when you get out here to the Ninth Circuit or the Seventh Circuit or the Seventh Circuit or the First Circuit, hey, no problem at all. But again, you take a look at the map and you see other circuits here, such as the 8th Circuit. Maybe the state of Minnesota might think about passing an assault weapon ban, but no other state in that circuit is going to do it. The 11th Circuit, not a snowball's chance in hell. And so that's one of the reasons, in fact, that is the main reason why we don't have circuit splits on these issues. This is what I call the jurisdictional bubble. What you need, really, is you would need a circuit that happened to have perhaps a conservative-leaning bench with a couple of states such as, oh, I don't know, New Jersey sitting underneath the circuit. And that is exactly what's happened in the 3rd Circuit and was the focus of this video that we did back on August 16th. Here's how it breaks down. There are 14 positions in the 3rd Circuit Court of Appeals, and the current breakdown is that 7 justices were appointed by Republican presidents and 6 justices were appointed by Democratic presidents. Now, I get that's not an exact science, because certainly we have seen instances where a president appoints a justice to a particular bench and they go haywire on us, okay? But it is at least an educated guess on things. And you sit there and you go, wow, that's great, 7-6, but you said there were 14 spots. That's right. There's only 13 spots that are currently filled. However, that brings us now to the most recent nomination, Judge Jennifer Mascott, which, if she is appointed to that position, would now put theoretically conservative-leaning judges on the 3rd Circuit at an 8-6 advantage. Now, Judge Mascott was nominated on July 16th and has yet to go through the confirmation process. Now, just by way of background, so you understand a little bit about Jennifer Mascott, she's an associate professor of law and the founder of the Separation of Powers Institute at Catholic Law. Obviously sounds like she has a good conservative background, and one would hope she would be very strong on the Second Amendment. But what it really brings up here now, America, is that you have an assault weapon ban coming out of New Jersey that is going to be heard by a bench which right now has a 7-6 conservative leaning and could potentially have an 8-6 judicial conservative leaning at the time that the case is heard, which means you could finally have a United States Circuit Court strike down an assault weapon ban. And when that happens, my friends, now we have ourselves a circuit split. And now we've got to start taking a look at all of the cases, especially those that would be coming out of Illinois, as well as this case right here, as to the perfect vehicle to finally bring this issue before the United States Supreme Court and resolve it once and for all. So while normally we get a little freaked out when a full en banc panel just comes in and sucks something up like a Hoover vacuum cleaner, when we take a look at the political breakdown of the bench and the direction it is heading, this actually creates an amazing opportunity not only to strike down New Jersey's assault weapon ban, but to create the necessary circuit split that would make this issue candidly unavoidable for the United States Supreme Court moving forward, and they would have to resolve this issue. Okay, the case is Cheeseman v. Platkin. It's also known as Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs v. Platkin. It's also known as Elman v. Platkin, and many other names. But listen, we will go ahead and link up the order of the 3rd Circuit down below so that you can geek out on it for yourself. And yes, we are going to very, very carefully watch this case. There are a lot of big things brewing in New Jersey right now. This is just one of them. Okay, listen, if you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool. Click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, the ability to do that is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.